this intro yet? Well, we did without any deliberation or hesitation whatsoever. We are in the deep end of the pool. We didn't even dip our toes. We just came right in the gate and dove right in. Didn't even take off our shirts. We're just in the deep end of the pool here on Jawn.
Help! Help!
He can't swim.
Help!
The man can't swim. We need a lifeguard. Somebody jump in and save this man. This is Kyle Hogg. This is Steve Moore. I'm Nathan Moore. You're watching Jawn, and we're just here to talk. And we don't know what about. You could help us decide that. Hop on the chat. We'll see your chats here. It'll all show up in Discord, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you are. We'll see your words, and they will help steer the conversation. How you two been?
I'm doing okay. I've had a pretty good week.
You had I saw this man out on the town at a concert the other night, and Kethra had seen him earlier in the day at the farmer's market.
I haven't been out of the house since then, but I did it that day.
That was a big day.
That was a lot of fun. It was good to
You
see
didn't overdo
people.
it, did you?
No,
Good.
no.
I was-
Well, I was telling Kyle on the way over when we went down to the show. We left at 7:15, and I thought I was down there till about 10 o'clock, and I thought I'd been down there 2.5 hours. My neck was tired, and I'd seen everybody, and I'd talked to everybody I needed to talk to, and got home, it was 8:25, and I was embarrassed, but there you go. I made the scene,
You sure
Yeah.
did. You sure did.
but you know.
Yep, Kyle was down there.
I was telling him as soon as I walked in, somebody came up to me. The first thing they said to me, "You didn't bring Steve with you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm glad you're happy to see me too." But
I guess now that we're celebrities, we should
That's
probably
right.
be
Traveling together.
traveling together,
That's
showing,
right.
making appearances all. In the
Yeah,
same. Oh, they were down here last night.
Yeah, celebrities is cool. I went on to watch the show on YouTube from last week so I wouldn't repeat myself, which I will anyway.
Anyways, right.
But I got on there anyhow. They have the little 8-9 episodes, and right next to me was the cartoon, a little cartoon sequence of Jawn that had 667,000 views, and ours had 6. So I'm thinking, wow, we're making it.
I mean, baby steps,
Yeah, exactly.
but go in the right direction. That's the most important thing.
yeah,
Onward and upward.
quality, not quantity. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm looking for.
We have the best viewers,
That's right.
Yeah,
really, of all the shows.
all 6 of them,
Yeah.
except 3 of them are me.
Right. I might be
I
one
wondered
of those.
about that. Do you get every time you turn
Not
it
every
on?
time.
Okay.
Right. Or I would
So
just
I
sit
should
there
turn
and
it off.
refresh all night.
I should turn it off occasionally.
But you can't rack up numbers that way, and you can't fool yourself. So you were just one of those numbers.
Well,
I was watching it after the Eagles game, and I was trying to figure out if we're just riding the Philly bandwagon with the Jawn, or if we influence their win, like the popularity of us, like taking a Philly term, and they just ride our wave.
It's connected. I don't know which
Somehow.
came first.
I
I don't know which is the cart and which is the horse, but definitely connected. No doubt in my mind. Swabertooth. Looking sharp, boys, are we? I tucked in. Thanks for noticing.
One of my favorite football quotes of all times. Some game, John Madden was, it was a couple, like 30 seconds left that they were driving down the field, and John Madden said, "Don't worry if the mules are blind, just load up the wagon and go."
I like it.
Yeah, that's my MO as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
So who are y'all pulling for in the Super Bowl coming up?
I'm definitely a Philadelphia fan because of my son Joe.
Joe is a Philadelphia fanatic.
Yeah,
How did that happen?
I don't
He's
really
wild
know.
with it.
I don't know. He was Randall Cunningham, I think, had something to do with it when he was
Young
young.
inspiration.
And Joe was a quarterback, and I think he idolize the techniques of. But I don't know how he got hooked that deep. But
Boy, he is deep.
yeah,
He's contemplating watching the Super Bowl all by himself just because he doesn't trust any company to share that space with him.
yeah,
To do it right, to not leave him alone right.
right.
We host the Super Bowl every year, and he's going to try to come, but he doesn't know if he possibly can. We told him he could have. We'd give him a whole room all to himself, that with rules for anybody that wants to go in there, not to bother Joe. But
Well,
I don't know.
I
We'll see.
respect that. That's okay if he wants to, because I'm like that. When I watch a ball game, I want to watch a ball game.
Right. She's like that with Federer, or used to be, back in the day.
So it's just water and black coffee? Is that what you're serving at the Super Bowl party?
No, hell no, no. It's February. It's gonna.
You got
We're
any
gonna,
sugar
we're gonna
and
have
cream?
all,
No, it's black. You got to drink it black.
We're gonna have all the things.
Iced tea, perhaps?
You're both invited. Come watch Super Bowl with us. Probably have it on the big screen in the
It's
living
not
room.
this weekend, right?
Right,
It's
next
the
week.
next. It's the following. Yeah, it's. I'm like that. I don't like to. If I'm concentrating on a ball game, I don't really like to
Oh, yeah.
party. I can party or I can do
Right.
the ball game, but it's hard for me to do both.
But it also can be really fun to watch it with a group of people that are all so invested.
Well, yeah, exactly, and it's also fun if you don't care about the
Right.
outcome of the game.
Mm-hmm.
If it's, and that's the way a lot of people are. They're more interested in the commercials.
Right, fun conversation, joking on the
Yeah,
commercials.
and that's okay. I think that's a lot healthier than my attitude. But that's just the way I am with sports. I like to analyze them, and I did learn to mute Tony Romo the other day. And I want to say this about Tony Romo, because I put it on Facebook, and he is a good analyst. He's intelligent and he knows, but he just talks too much.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't understand, in my opinion. He thinks his job description is to say something about every play.
Right.
And the truth is he has no timing, and you sometimes just got to let the game speak for itself, and he's not good at that.
Right. Is he new at it?
Oh no,
He's been around for a while, so he's not gonna.
He's an old Dallas Cowboy quarterback, and he knows the game.
But the commentating thing, has he been doing that for a long time?
Oh yeah,
too?
pretty long time.
Yeah.
And
So there's not much hope that he's just figuring it out.
Probably not going to change unless he's listening tonight.
Right,
and
right. There
Really
you go.
takes it to heart and
Mm-hmm.
understands what I'm saying. I'm trying to be constructive,
Right.
you know. But
Were you a Billy Packer fan?
Love Billy Packer. He was very
Who's
good.
Billy Packer?
He was
just
ACC
passed away
basketball
this week,
announcer that
Ah,
for years and years. He was that stable. He was the opposite of the Dick Vitale.
Right.
Dick gets you all excited.
Right.
Billy would settle you down and just explain it to you. Nice, quiet Southern voice.
Mhm.
And they're all good.
I like the theater, the radio days, because they had to like put you there.
Right, yeah.
Whereas on TV, you're seeing it, so you don't need that level of emotion or the descriptive language.
You're exactly right.
The radio announcers, that's some the people those are good storytellers right there.
Yeah.
And they paint the picture in your mind as it happens.
Yep.
So how about you? Who are you pulling for in the Super Bowl?
The Eagles. A good friend of mine, Aaron, he's a big Eagles fan too, so he's been talking me up all year
Talking you up all year?
about the Eagles.
Uh-huh.
I went to, I don't know if you've ever been to No New Books in Stanton, bookstore, used
Haven't been there
bookstore.
yet. Is that the one on Greenville Avenue?
Yeah, but they had like a dollar section. I was just flipping through it, and they had Eagles tattoos. I was like, yes! So I sent him some tattoos, trying to make him guarantee he'll be my friend for a long time.
Did you keep one for yourself?
I was going to open them up and send them to different Eagles fans, but I said that looks sort of tacky if they get it already opened, you
I
know.
don't know. If you sent them just one, it would seem really. Where the heck did you find this?
Cut out, just.
I think I hate to do it. I feel like I might find myself cheering for the Chiefs.
Why?
I like their quarterback. I just have liked them. I was cheering for them last year, and they almost made it, and then got robbed. And I don't know. If the Eagles weren't in there, there'd be no doubt in my mind they'd be going.
Well, I kind of like them too. I like Andy Reid.
Watching Mahomes play on a bad leg, that was a pretty inspiring performance. You could tell he was hurt,
Yeah.
but then you could also tell when he was not feeling any pain because he was just so focused on winning that game and getting where he had to be. And then I was just inspired by that performance. And it reminded me how much I liked them.
Yeah,
And I got to the end of that game. I was like, man, I might have to cheer for that. If I'm being honest, that might be who I'm sort of inclined to cheer for. But I do have family allegiance too.
That's true.
Well, the two brothers are playing, one for the Chiefs and one for the Eagles.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a little Civil War.
Yeah.
Kelseys.
The Kelseys.
Yeah, the one's a center, one's a tight end. They're both really good football players.
I saw on YouTube the father went to, I think it was the Chiefs game, and then he got on a plane. This was like a couple weeks ago in the playoffs, or I think it was when the playoffs first started. Went to the Chiefs game, hopped on a plane, went and saw the Eagles play.
Oh, you saw it.
Well, no, it was on YouTube about how
gotcha.
he, like, I got to get to the Eagles game now. I got to get to the other game now for other son.
Oh, gotcha. Percy's on something. Our producer's already got her Go Birds shirt.
Kelsey's the one when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and he quoted the Beastie Boys, and you gotta fight for your right to party.
What did that have to do with it?
It was after they had won, and they were interviewing like the players, and he just starts quoting the Beastie Boys. So that was pretty funny.
Who did that?
The tight end, the Kelsey for the Chiefs.
So it looks like in the chat we got a lot of Eagles folks. Swaby wants to know if you've ever told the bat story.
Oh, I have not, and I didn't think about it today.
Does that have to do with this guy with the eagle? Was that a bat or a devil horns?
That's a good question. It's like Batman. It is Batman.
That's what I was trying to think about. Is that where the bat story came from?
Where's Batman and all this?
It's
Somebody posted a video of Tony Romo.
Did what?
Posted a video of Tony Romo.
Oh.
I hope I haven't hurt his career.
Wait, he posted that. I can't believe it.
So before the next show, I'll teach our producer how to share the gifts as they come up. I feel like that'll be a growing thing. Maybe we'll just have them like appear in the bottom of the screen or something, so you and the watchers can really multimedia this show out a little bit, because they're quick. Tony Romo popping up in the bottom of the screen and be like, how are they doing all this?
We should have a Super Bowl party for shut-ins and loners. It'll just be us three sitting down here with the game on. People can watch us.
Watch party.
Yeah.
We could host a watch party. For sure.
Suicide rate in Stanton went up drastically. I'm so lonely. I had to watch those three guys watch the Super Bowl.
Apparently, it was breaking news right before y'all got here. Armed robbery out on Greenville Avenue. Three guys in a car wearing masks got out and held a guy up at gunpoint.
Wow.
On Greenville Avenue. I don't know. My first reaction was, sounds like some guy's trying to lie to his wife about where that $100 went. Last scene coming from that arcade up there with the slot machines.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think anybody was walking out on Greenville Avenue anymore.
Right. It was a random appearance.
And if they were, you didn't think they had a lot of money.
Nobody has cash. Nobody has cash. That doesn't happen.
Give me your $1.30 now.
That is one thing the pandemic did, though, is normalize the masks. I'm surprised you don't see that stuff happening more. I thought the masked armed robbery would just be skyrocketing. Just like, I guess a lot of places weren't open, but With everyone wearing masks, you would have thought there would just be, I mean, I guess there are some phenomenons of that kind of stuff going on. California has a crazy little trend happening now of people just walking into like Walgreens and stealing stuff, just filling up a bag and walking out wearing a mask. It's like, what are they going to do? Nobody wants to really risk their lives to stop somebody stealing stuff from Walgreens, but it's this interesting phenomenon. You see it on the Twitter and stuff all the time. New footage. The employees basically just pull out their phone and film the people doing it. And now it's become like a trend. Now it's just like, oh, you want to go rob the Walgreens? Like,
Well, I've got a couple of friends that work in retail, and they said they're told if you see somebody stealing now, don't just let them go.
it's not worth your life. And apparently people have gotten that memo that, yeah, they're not going to do anything. After a few people tested the waters and nobody did anything, now it's sort of become a little bit of a thing to do.
No more skill in being a shoplifter anymore. It's just brazen. You just
It's true.
you used to have the fake pockets and the.
Or how about the plastic lined pockets for buffets?
Oh,
you ever known
man.
anybody that went to that level?
Thank God, no. even though it looks like I did.
Hey, you lived in Vegas for a while. You never did anything anywhere close to that?
Of course not.
Of course not.
I took my Stanton values to Las Vegas. In fact, I used to knock those guys on the head when they'd run out of there. Then I'd steal from them.
Arrest.
And I'd citizens arrest. Or no, I'd take what they had and then they'd get caught. No, I was a law-abiding citizen.
Is citizens arrest still a legal thing?
I don't know if it ever was.
I think you can do it, but you're open
Crazy.
for lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dangerous thing.
I wonder how it ever was supposed to
We're
work.
bound to get sued. All right, let's change the subject. I got a question.
Okay.
I want to talk about Facebook for a second.
Okay.
I have a question. Our friend Jane has been over in Auckland, New Zealand, visiting, and that has nothing to do with where I'm going, but it kind of does. But I didn't realize until a couple days ago that she had been posting up pictures and stuff, but I wasn't getting anything from her. So, my question is, how do you know if stuff you're putting on Facebook, who's seeing it? And why wasn't what she was putting up on Facebook showing up on my page? And of course, when you have a lot of people, that you can't see everybody's.
Right.
But what algorithm?
How does it decide?
How does that decide? It seems like if I read her stuff, that would be recorded, and I would get her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thinking. But it doesn't seem to work that way. I don't. So I'm ignorant of how that works. Can you, either one of you or both of you?
So wait a minute. So I was getting it every morning. You weren't getting the pictures every morning. Like
Those naked ones in the shower? No, I don't like those. Not that early in the morning.
And you're probably liking them too, which helps.
Okay.
Definitely liking stuff will help you see more of that in the future.
But if you don't get it the first
But if you
time,
don't get it the first time,
I couldn't like it. I liked it after I got it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand how they do that. I don't know, and when the other way around, when I write something, is who's getting it? And
You have no
is
way
there
of knowing.
anybody?
This question has been troubling man for centuries.
They wrote about it in the Bible. I
Yeah,
think,
this was
didn't
in the
they?
Bible, as Jesus said.
Now, here's the other here's the other aspect of that. You see this come up. Do you know what I'm talking about? It'll come up where it says, "I found out this way where that the Facebook is only letting me show 25 people, and I now if you hit this button and do that, it'll change." and it's always the same format. And I think that's bullshit.
It is, and I'm so
I
embarrassed
hate-
that I have so many friends that fall for that kind of stuff. It's
hate
just
when
embarrassing. I'm
I
just
hate
like,
when people say, if you know, like
copy
they'll
and
write this.
paste.
Yeah, exactly. I never have done that, and I don't believe in it, and I don't think people ought to ask me to do it.
Right.
You know, I'll get people that
What
like,
I hate the same format is when there's one that's a really heartfelt long one.
exactly.
And then you
About
get to the bottom
cancer.
and it says, I copied this from a friend and I want you to do it too.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, you had me.
or the-
I was so in your corner
Well-
and so grateful to you for opening up like this.
Exactly.
Only to get to the end of it and find out you copied and pasted that and you want me to do it too. Like I'm gonna do to someone else what you just did to me.
Exactly. And
Not gonna happen.
All right, fellas, calm down.
All right.
Calm down.
And I got to finish. I got to let this out.
Yeah, I
too.
say let it
the
out.
The one at the end where it says, "And I know only my best friend."
Oh right, right.
Fuck you.
Right,
I
right.
mean, that's just bullshit. Why are you doing that to me?
It's
like
deeply
it's like
manipulative.
I double dare you. I double dare you to click.
That would be even.
That's terrible.
I'd be more inclined to respond to a double dare than a
Well, yeah, that's a
passive
real
aggressive
thing.
shaming of
Yeah, they
like
shame you.
but if you don't do it, I guess you're not one of the good ones.
Yeah, you like cancer.
Right. Right.
And then
All right,
I heart cancer.
I'm out. I had to get that out.
By the way, you can buy our new I Heart Cancer buttons in the merch store on jabberjohn.com.
And then also you get this one to say, I know nobody's gonna be brave enough to click this I love God, or, you know. Like, why would anybody be like so ashamed? I'm so ashamed to admit it. I've hidden it for years. I love God.
All right, Clutch might have an answer for us.
All right.
At least we are past the people visiting each other's farms and crushing candy. Oh, that Candy Crushers. I never did that, so I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah.
The Mimi share, the algorithm knows what you're up to long before you do.
Well, I don't doubt that.
God, we got all kinds of people right in here.
Swaby says there's a new social media network being built by the Bitcoiners. Check out Snort Social. You can actually log in as other people to view it through their eyes by entering their public key. What are you talking about? Jack Dorsey, log in as him to check it out. Pretty powerful stuff. No ads, no gatekeeper, no email, no phone, no private info. You log in with a Bitcoin wallet. Overwhelming, though, makes me want to listen to hear Plastic Pony. Man, I have no idea what I just read.
That is crazy.
I don't.
But you know, when I hear
But
the
it
word
is true.
Bitcoin, I turn off.
Right. I just.
Yeah.
I always say I love God when I hear the word Bitcoin.
Makes sense.
Only 25 of you will be brave enough to buy my Bitcoin.
Shinbog, welcome. Good to see you. Not sure what you shared there. We can't see it in here. Something about Facebook, though. It's a Facebook reel. Clutch says the idea that the algorithm is making biased decisions for you without ever getting any explicit input from you, the user. But they get lots of explicit input. They know what we look at, what we click on, what we like, what we share. They have all kinds of info about us. What ads we like, what stuff we just bought.
Is this guy writing to you real, or is he like a robot, Facebook robot, just telling you all this stuff?
That's a good question. I always thought he was a real, actual friend. But now that I think about it, he didn't share that post I made a little bit ago.
If you're an
I haven't
actor,
seen him in a long time.
And every time I've seen him, he's had a hoodie on.
Yeah, exactly. I
Let's
don't know.
let's revisit that guy.
I'm
That
wondering about all my
conspiracy
friends.
theory.
if you're a real
Oh, right.
friend,
Have you any more info?
I've seen it all.
Have you seen him, though?
Yeah.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen him?
Oh yeah, he was at the party the other night.
He was?
No, but they keep showing that all of them with that hoodie on. But they don't show it when he goes further in. He probably takes it off
Well, why didn't they?
because they were too caught up in Tony Romo's talk.
I don't know. I feel like although Twitter's died down on that.
Well, you've seen him since.
I don't know if we have.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah?
They've doctor. Yeah, he's out there. He's making public appearances now.
Oh, he is?
Well-
Are you sure about that?
I just made that
Okay.
up.
The thing now is that the games are scripted. Have you seen that all over the internet?
Oh, yeah.
You know, the tackle,
What?
that the
Yeah.
games are scripted.
That it's all rigged.
Like you don't, the tackles easy tackles that are missed, and
and the calls
Well,
of the
I
officials.
think we do
and
need to
stuff.
talk to some referees. I would go that far,
But all the way to the extent that it's rigged?
oh no.
No.
Well, I
Just
think
bad calls.
if it's rigged, it's not rigged by the system because they're making money either way. What could be rigged is individuals or a small group, which means they could buy off a referee.
Right.
Yeah. The system isn't doing it. They're not scripting the whole thing.
They don't have like who they want in the Super Bowl early on or something. There's no.
Yeah. But in the individual game up until an hour, you could make that $1 million bet in Las Vegas and $1 million everywhere on the internet and everywhere. And,
who would ever want to be a referee? You get no glory or nobody ever says, great call, that was a great call.
Well,
Yeah,
one
give
of
us
the
some
things
insight there.
one of the things about that's interesting is they talked about that in the ball game was that the NFL referees are still not professionals.
Yeah,
So
lawyers
they're
and
lawyers. They do it as a sideline.
Yeah.
Whereas Major League Baseball umpires are professional. That's what they do for a living.
Oh, interesting.
But
in the NFL do they want to get professional full time?
well, I think they probably will be moving, especially after some of the calls that have hit the fan lately.
What do you think is the psychology of someone that wants to be a ref? What are they? Are they athletes usually?
They're
Retired
usually, I can talk to this a little bit because I umpired for years
athletes? Exactly.
after I played. And I always looked at that as a coach. I look at the psychology of why someone is umpiring. It's very similar to law enforcement. You'll have the best of people in law enforcement and umpiring that love the game and do it because they care about the game being honorable and everything. And then you'll find people that just like to use power. They use it to the point where it can be abused. So, I always look at why you're doing that. And you can get two completely different answers. One are good people or the best of people, and then you can get some real assholes. And that's the way policemen are too. And school teachers.
do you think your motivation was purely noble, or
As a
was it
teacher
a blend?
or an umpire.
Umpire.
As an umpire, I tried to make the game. Yeah, I had a good heart about it. I had the right attitude. I didn't like having that kind of power because people don't like you. You make a close call at first base, half the people don't like you.
Right.
And then next inning, the other half don't like you. So when you leave, nobody likes you.
Yeah, I mean, every game probably he umpired, there's somebody yelling hateful things at you from the stands.
Then that's why it takes special people. I mean, really good people to carry on that umpiring tradition. And I would have to say most people are like that. And I believe most people are good. But you will see people in there for the wrong reasons.
Is there a way to
Right?
Is there a way to psychologically profile people to find out their motivations?
I don't think it's hard at all. I really don't. I mean, just by the way they handle themselves and the way they handle others.
We as a culture, for all things from law enforcement to umpires to teachers or whatever, should focus more on people's intentions and motivations for wanting to do it in the first place.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Although we're in desperate need of all of them, so you start getting rid of the bad ones and we're going to have a serious shortage.
Yeah, that's true. And then there are degrees of that. You get some people just like to be able to have some power. They like to have a gun.
But they're good.
But they're good people,
Right.
but they just enjoy having a gun. They don't need to abuse you with it, but they like having a little control. And, that's the way life is.
It's funny talking about getting rid of people, and you just left with the. If we get rid of the bad people, we're left. Not many people left. I have my pharmacy was at the CVS at Target, and Monday through today they've been closed, and I've got some prescriptions out there, and they keep sending me texts. We can only hold your prescriptions for this long, and you go out there, and there's nobody there. So we called CVS today and got my prescriptions transferred to the one right down the street on Churchill Avenue. We go there tonight. It's closed because they don't have any pharmacists. Like, you can't even get like pharmacists to work in places now.
That's amazing. I don't completely understand the worker shortage that's happened. Seems like
Well, you
across
can
the board.
understand the worker shortage in terms of pharmacists because you have to have a degree, and you know it's a lot going to school to get that.
Well, the explanation you gave me sort of made sense about all the knowledge you have, and then you end up not using any of it.
Yeah. Well, I was with my friend Steve the other day, and he was in pharmacy school, and he said he learned all this great chemistry and biochemistry and how things work, and then when he got on the job, all he did was push pills. It's kind of like one time you told me that you get to the point where you realize all you're doing with this traveling and playing music was selling people's beer.
Right.
Yeah, you know, that's not the way it really works. But with pharmacy, that would, a lot of times that's true. They don't, you know, the people that come in to get their prescriptions don't ask you usually what's going on. They talk to their doctor.
Right.
So they end up, you know, you don't get to use any of that.
Right. That's interesting.
A pharmacist can't prescribe anything, can they?
Not really, I don't think.
Right. They do all that schooling, and then basically they just spend their days
Counting pills.
counting pills.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's not rewarding.
And answering which aisle holds whatever. Yeah. Do you have aspirin? Yes, aisle 4. All right, thank you.
I'm just seeing what that meme was. Clutch says, the hypothesis that he wants to prove is that the algorithm is making choices in group and grouping us by things like race and religion. Wait, where is this referencing? To show us things we'd like, but that's just expanding on our existing bias and actually making it worse by always showing preference for our in-group friends, and then our out-group friends don't come up as often. But you never asked for that explicitly. It's just the algorithm curating your experience. Yeah, it's what we need to know is a deeper understanding of how to control our own algorithm.
Right.
It's not that algorithms are a terrible thing, because we like for things to be curated to our what we would like to have as an experience, but we're so out of touch with how to shape that algorithm.
Well, we don't have any control over
None
that
of it. I
shape.
mean,
That's what I'm asking is how do you get control
I feel like
of that?
there's a couple of settings in your settings to decide how your news feed is organized, but I've never really done much of that. But I think there's like a couple of options, like if you want to just see it sort of like your friends chronologically, because that's what I think.
I think you ought to be able to organize your friends, you know, and list them, because if there's special ones you want to, and they might not put it much up there, but if they do, you want to see it.
Right.
Now, did Jane stuff just like download in a mass later, or you just never got?
I had to find it. I wanted to just see if she had made it, and you know, if she was saying anything.
Right.
Especially when we got all that bad weather over there, and so I went to her friend page. Yeah,
Right.
I hit friend, and then hit her name, and her stuff came up.
Oh, wow.
And there it all was. So
You're like, I haven't seen any of this.
I hadn't gotten any of it
Right.
on my feed. I didn't know. I didn't know if she was okay or not. And that, you know, but that happens all the time because most of the people out there I don't hear anything from. obviously, when you have a lot of people that are friends, you can't hear all of them. But I'd like to be able to list, and I don't think that 25 or, cut and paste is the answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know there's a way that you can like sort of not see so much from somebody.
Yeah, you can turn them
There should
off.
be the opposite button
Yeah.
you can click, like
Yeah.
especially if a friend's going on a trip or something. Like, be sure I see all these. Like,
Right,
if
right.
tallies out sailing somewhere or
there's,
something.
There's
Just
better ways to do it than what they're doing. The other one that you get all the time is where somebody liked it's not something original, but they liked it, and then they send Facebook sends them all
Right.
to you, and you get all these real weird
Yeah.
different things that I didn't want any of that.
Right.
And just because a friend, they didn't send it to me, they liked it, so the algorithm decided to send it to me. Well, I don't want you to send it to me. I want to decide what I want you to send me.
I feel like Facebook is dying down a little bit.
You think? Well, I'm ready to go to, we talked about it earlier. I'm ready to try, because I'm still having trouble. I wrote this thing. I channeled John Prine the other morning.
Oh yeah.
Woke up at 4 a.m. and got in there, and I think I must have heard him the night before, but I got into this John Prine song about a woman, and I put one of them on. It's a hard-ass woman.
All right.
Yeah.
It's like a little, not a song format, but like a little.
No, it's like a
story.
running commentary about this woman. I can read a couple of them to
Yeah.
you. They're pretty interesting, but some of them are pretty bad. But that was from 4 to 6. But I wrote all that, and then I just realized that I couldn't put that on Facebook because somebody might think it was somebody. I wasn't talking about me. I was talking about a John Prine song.
Right.
I was just making up stuff I thought sounded funny. But if I put it on Facebook, people would interpret that as something I'm going through.
What?
So I put the qualification that.
You ever consider just letting them think whatever they want to think?
Oh yeah, that's what I usually do.
Well, you also struggle with this topic a lot of being afraid to put out certain things because of what other people might interpret it as.
Right. Yeah, especially when you're talking about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people thinking I'm talking about another person.
Right. Or you don't want them to think that you're telling the world about some aspect of them or something.
Exactly. I try to really be anonymous in terms of, bringing other people into the story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the premise there.
Right.
But yeah, I'll see if I can find one. I'll read you a couple.
That's a good look. What's that? Is that a journal? That's a good looking book, whatever it is.
This is my newest journal.
Gosh,
I
look at
love it.
But notebooks can really impact your writing. Young writers out there, I back when I used to fill notebooks a lot more often than I do now, I would spend an hour holding each of them, looking, feeling, trying to find the mojo. I go in for a new journal or a new notebook, and that store wouldn't have the one. I had to go to the next store. They had plenty of journals and notebooks, but none of them had, and it.
Yeah.
That one right there,
This
you can just tell right away.
This is my second one that I got. Somebody gave me one of these, and then I bought this one because I liked it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was at 4 o'clock the other morning. I was talking about my current love, which I'm not really. I don't have a current love.
Sure you don't.
I'm lonely.
Sure this isn't you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Where will
It's definitely not about who we all think it's about either.
She farts loudly in her sleep, but will never admit it.
I know who that is.
I know who you're talking about.
Her farts smell like the dead mouse under the refrigerator
Dang.
with a hint of sandalwood. Can you hear John Prine? Yeah.
Or Bukowski.
She doesn't cook, but has a crush on the DoorDash guy. We don't make love, but sometimes when she walks by, she'll pinch me till I wince and make that face she likes. When she,
I'll never read the stuff you're not reading.
oh, yeah.
You should be wearing lipstick while you're reading these.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Bring it on. When she drinks, she always drinks till she throws up. She says it cleans her out and is a very healthy
I can relate to that. I like the spirit of that.
Yeah. When we go to a Mexican restaurant, she always orders the same thing. She orders 3 of those giant frozen tequilas in all 3 flavors and refried beans.
Explains a lot.
Man, you've got like a winning line of T-shirts. Do you right there? You just could put that stuff on a T-shirt. You'll be selling those like crazy.
Jabberjohn.com.
It will be out next week. She was a college student till she was 43. She says she must be slow, but it took her that long to learn everything. She's an old woman, but she's 15 years younger than I am. Now that one's on me.
Wow.
That was all from 4 to 6 the other morning.
You were on a roll.
Oh my God, here's a whole nother page.
I see 2 full pages there. You were on a roll.
She serves surf and turf the other night. Sardines and Vienna sausage and those those fancy crackers in the green box.
Oh, the club.
Yeah.
Surf and turf. Sardines and Vienna sausages. Come on.
Here's the one I put on Facebook. Let's see, I don't know.
I want to hear all the stuff you're skipping.
She's not political. She said that the Republicans and the Democrats are 2 sides of the same coin, and the coin ain't worth a bit. Now this one's questionable. She does love birds. She keeps a collection of woodpeckers in the bedroom. Woodpeckers.
Oh.
That's terrible. I'm sorry. I apologize. She can beat my ass, and we both know it, but sometimes she must forget.
Wait a minute, you wake up and you get all this stuff rolling out of you?
Yeah, must have been having a weird dream.
Gosh. You need to get like a chair downtown just to sit down there and just recite this stuff out loud.
Sometimes she'll go fishing with me, but she only takes a very large net. The only CDs she'll listen to in the car are the Talking Heads and the Fendels. I like that one. Mm-hmm. All right.
Now, are any of these based on real people?
None of them. None of them.
Not a one, not a lick.
John Prine and who was that little girl John was hanging out with? What's her name?
Iris DeMent?
Iris DeMent, yeah. There's a lot of Iris DeMent in there, right?
Her farts smell like sandalwood.
I like that song they do together. That's where a lot of
Oh,
us
yeah.
remember smelling her underwear.
Right.
And,
Caught him last night. He was sniffing my undies.
yeah, there you go. That's the theme. Yeah, that's the theme.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow.
Yeah.
Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize.
Very good, very good. Well, I'll finish it.
Oh no, keep going.
Oh, what was that? She's lost her partial 4 times in the last month. That's sad. And this is the way I'd end the song.
I'd end the song.
With John Bryant. But you know, I still love to watch her walk up the stairs in her underwear. And when she bends over in that short green dress, it's like I'm at the fair. And when I feel her beside me at night, I'm not afraid of the dark. And I somehow know she'd die for me and call it a good day. And yes, I love her.
That's sweet.
There you go. All right, I'm done for a while.
Get all that randiness out of you.
Oh,
and then
applause.
and then you come up with some sweetness.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks for coming.
You got something to read us?
God, after
You're
that,
up.
After that, no, wow.
What was the last thing you wrote? Well, your Facebook posts are great themselves. Your Facebook posts are little works of art.
Fascinating. I love the way your brain works with those. But I must say, I've never heard any of the songs you do. It's like you're in a different time warp for me, which is good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. We're just in 2 different time
You do
periods.
have very unpredictable taste in music. I like that. I would never be surprised by what you shared next.
I was dying laughing when I saw that Hall & Oates video, and he's got like the big fur.
I didn't even click on the video to see it yet.
It's like every kid, like when you were a kid, like what you think a rock star would look like. He had a scarf and big glasses and a woman's fur coat. I was like, what in the world? They made a video. That's the outfit he wore.
Tech support, good to see you.
Now, do you start writing? These are done in your mind when you write them down, or you like get a line and you fill it in?
They just pop in my head, and I write them as I
Completely
think of 'em.
finished. It's just right there.
Mhm.
It's just the whole thing comes to you, or like the first
Oh no,
line?
that's one line at a time.
Okay.
I could never be a novelist. I just create sentences. So I just had a subject and then would think of different weird stuff and just throw it down. But I have no ability to put stuff together and make it make sense or anything. So each of them is an independent thing as far as I'm concerned. They each stand on their own. But then I had the same general topic of John Prine song.
Now, do you think individual writers or song people have like their own chemistry for writing, the way they put words together, the way they do you consider that at all chemistry?
Oh, I think it's the way your brain works, and if you want to call it, you can get down to a chemical level with your brain, but it's just the way, it's more a logical discussion would be just to talk about the way our brains see things and how we develop things. Some people have a greater attention span, and some see a bigger picture.
Right.
That's part of it. I'm just amazed at novelists, how they can create that big panorama to go with. I literally think in terms of thoughts right there in front of me, and it's like some form of ADHD, I guess. I just don't think that. I can't think that way, and I just think as you grow up, I think everybody just has a different way. Maybe some people can do both, and yeah.
But do you think if you wrote like there's a saxophone, I want to go home. If that was water, is there a way to turn that into like Diet Pepsi by rearranging the chemistry of it? And I can't even tell you. I don't know what I'm talking about. Move on.
I feel like you're entering some interesting territory, though. I don't exactly know how to join you in there yet, but definitely just thinking about what's the scientific explanation for genius? Would it be a chemical thing? Is it a
Right.
neurological, electrical thing? Is it?
Well, like let's say Shakespeare is water, and I don't know, Twain is, you know, whatever, milk. Is there a way to take Shakespeare and rearrange those chemicals to make it sound like Twain wrote it? You think?
Chat AI could do it.
I don't know.
Wonder if Percy could do it.
I don't know. I think, unfortunately, we're in a period where we'll look for some algorithm to do it rather than let the human brain develop it. But I don't know. You know.
Hey, Karina. Welcome to the show.
There's obviously a way just the writer puts the words together. It's all the same words.
Yeah,
So it's just basically the way they put them together.
Yeah, it's a grouping thing. The way it's it's the way you perceive things too, the way you take things in. So it's all. I mean, I think everybody's a little bit different in everything. Kind of like a snowflake.
That's bold.
All right, I just asked Percy to turn a Shakespeare verse into the style of Mark Twain.
Who's Percy? I thought that was the dog.
He's the also the bot in our Discord.
Oh.
What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. What light breaks through yonder window? It ain't the east, but it's Miss Juliet, as brilliant as the sun. That's interesting. So the first one was actually Shakespeare, and the second one was, what light breaks through yonder window? It ain't the east.
You'll throw in 10% redneck.
But if back to that one idea, what do you think if there was a scientific explanation for genius? What school of science do you think would the explanation exist in?
Hers.
Psychology. But psychology can't explain it.
Neuropsychology.
Neuropsychology. So it'd be something like in the electrical neural network of the brain is where you probably see it.
Network is a good word, and connections, how you make connections and what connections you make. I think people that don't think too creatively end up going down the same roads every day. They take Greenville Avenue every time they go to the store, whereas people that are more creative are taking different roads and seeing things from different angles. And that that comes with that can evolve with practice. It's the old James Taylor had a song, take another way home, of being able to do that. And I think some people just naturally have disassociated brains that can't help but do that. Others are more firmly entrenched. And there's not necessarily, most animals, I think, are patterned to do pretty much think the same thing whenever something like that happens. So
now, do you think geniuses have, what if you're a genius but you have no talent at anything? Like you're not a writer, you're not a musician, you're not a scientist.
Well, I think that happens, but most
like.
people will find a place to explore that in some way, whether it's forced upon them or not. But I think a lot of people are geniuses in things that they don't know anything that they've never been exposed to.
I feel like we probably each have something like that. There's probably something that we're profoundly good at that we've never tried. We might not even know that thing exists to do. But if we ever did it, we'd be one of the best in the world at it.
Yeah, I feel like that about sex.
You just never done it, but
I'm sorry.
I was watching. I don't know if I read this or I heard this or what, but who said it? Nietzsche or somebody said you should, if you figure out what you want to do when you get older and like you're not happy, you should go back to your youth and figure out everything that you enjoyed doing and see what the line was that draws all those together.
Ooh.
And then that should be like the goal you shoot for your later life. But how many people?
But that's at the same time that's so dictated by your environment and
Right.
your upbringing. Like most of the things I liked doing as a kid, just by coincidence, happened to be the stuff he loved.
Right.
And like, I don't, like, there's so much stuff I gravitated towards like doing just to make my dad think I was, to make him proud of me.
Right.
But it's
Yeah, you're limited by your environment,
mm-hmm.
what you're exposed to.
what's put down in front of you. Now,
You-
there's probably
even-
something you could take from what stuff you gravitated towards out of the available options.
It's like when you were young, like magic that brought you happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Puppets. Woodpeckers.
I love woodpeckers.
Well, so you. Like, well,
Oh,
that-
here's one about woodpeckers. Did you know when you see a woodpecker, that their tongue goes up and around and comes all the way around the top of their head, their tongue?
What?
So when they want to, they can unroll their tongue and go out about that far, about 6 inches, to grab termites and things in the wood.
Oh, to go down the holes they're boring with their.
Yeah, they peck the hole, and then they just open that little thin beak, and this snake-like tongue shoots out and
Oh, my
grabs
gosh.
stuff.
You believe that?
I can bring you pictures next week.
Man, he was telling all
You're
us.
gonna draw them.
He
Mr. Sibley draw.
he was telling us all that stuff about the eel, remember?
Mm.
And I was talking to some friends, like, that's not true. We Googled it. It was all true.
Well, I don't lie.
I know, but it
I
didn't.
mean,
He definitely doesn't lie.
But it just didn't seem true that they all come from wherever you said down near the Bermuda Triangle.
oh yeah, I wasn't making any of that up.
And
I
they
might-
get Chesapeake Bay. They get into that, and that's how they get up into.
right.
And they detailed it very, because I was asking if there could be like any eels in Middle River, and they were like, "Oh, I don't think so." And then somebody Googled it and said, "Yeah, that's true."
Oh yeah, there's plenty of eels in Middle River.
I wonder where they're not.
Oh,
Well, you know what's happened since we
You think
were
they're still there?
fishing, a lot of it's dams have stopped a lot of it.
That's true.
But here's an image that I'll share with you from when we lived at Frank's Mill. They used to, in the 1800s, early 1800s, they'd go down when they first, well, I don't know when they built the first dam, so it might have been the early 1900s. But there's stories about that dam that was below our house.
Mm-hmm.
When it was up, they would come in there with big nets and wagons and fill them up with eels and go into the wharf area and sell eels.
Wow.
Isn't that a great image?
That is a great
Stanton?
image.
I heard that when I first
I
moved
wonder what
out
it
there.
was like where the house is now when that dam worked. Would that have all been underwater?
Where the dam was, well, you can go when you're out there, you can see the water level. It's about 6 feet up. I remember that when I was a kid. I
So
mean,
there would have been no
they
road there. Or what?
There was a road
Yeah.
there, but it was right along the road. The river was right along the road. In other words, at the top, where our land was, where it dropped off, that was where the river was. And that was crazy. There were stories there that they used to water ski there.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
Yeah, they could shoot up through there because that was that deep and far enough that they could water ski
That's fun.
up there. Yeah.
No, Going back, would you rather be a genius, like to think up music, or a natural talent where you could just, if a genius gave you something they wrote, you could just play it?
Oh man.
Ooh.
I'm trying to. I'm caught up on the difference between natural talent and genius in terms of how I see it. Because to me, it's almost the same thing.
Well, let's say you were a guitar player, but you never even came up with anything of your own. But anybody put something to you, or you listen to something, you can just hear it and just play.
No, I would rather be a creative, for sure. But when I think of genius, it's both.
Creative and
Like, yeah.
carry out what you're thinking about.
I wouldn't even think of, yeah.
Well,
It's like if I think of a genius musician, it's someone that can just play whatever they hear in their head, and you can't believe what they hear in their
like
head.
I don't even know, was Beethoven a good piano player?
Great question. He had to have been, though, right?
Or did he just think this would sound good and packed it out?
Wouldn't it be funny to find out that somehow or another it got unearthed that horrible piano player, just horrible,
because maybe he could
just
visualize,
right?
you know, because but wasn't he deaf when he got
Ding
older?
ding 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 ding. Oh,
Yeah, so maybe the genius of his brain could like write it down, and he could see the flow of it and stuff. But he didn't have the natural talent with his fingers to.
That can happen.
It's completely conceivable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's common though.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that can do one aspect of a thing, an actor
Right.
who could memorize their lines, but they can't.
Oh, that's true.
You
Never
know,
gonna write their own stuff,
Yeah,
right?
but they couldn't create it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's a good one.
Genius is definitely such a fascinating phenomenon.
well, and the thing about that you have to throw in there is these what do you call it, savants? You know, 4-year-old little boy that can play all
Right.
that. I mean, where does that come from?
Right.
That's just,
It's almost like AI to a certain extent because they don't have the experience
right.
to really emotionally understand what they're doing,
You wouldn't think.
but they can do it better than any. I mean, and
Yeah.
you're almost you're starting on third base in such an interesting way that
Right.
it could almost prevent you from ever experiencing first and second.
Right.
Right.
So you'll all and it's
That's it. That's well said. I like that. And there's a lot to be said about second base.
oh that was definitely and the first key. Yeah. Boy, a year from now, this whole operation is just going to be off the hook because we're going to have a constant, steady laugh track, little gifs popping up at the bottom of the screen.
Was
we
it
have a
was,
producer.
was that the second base sound we just heard?
That's the sound of second base. Haven't you ever been there? You didn't hear that sound?
I remember when I was 23, I first got to second base. It was a wonderful thing. Yeah, we're just making this up as we go. We're going to have a show here. I think by number 83, we'll have a real show.
We must be
Start
geniuses.
finding our stride.
We'll probably be in double digits on views.
So what? When you called the other night asking questions about a generator, what inspired that?
Well, I want control. I want to.
Josh Sprouse, welcome to the shows. Woodpeckers seem like impeccable lovers, he says. Impeccable. Give him one. Give him one. And then you hit the laugh right after. Oh, wow. chips. The black keys.
Gosh, you're getting the most. You're getting the most. Response.
And if you ever need to stop, fade it all out, it's the stop button on the play pause stop up there. See that? This is all new technology we're employing here in Nathan's land.
Is there like a boo or like a raspberry sound or anything? Or something that's...
Oh, yeah, there is a boo. You can 3-finger swipe over to the board the other direction.
It's hard to learn.
We're going behind the scenes now for all of y'all that can't see what's going on. Hell.
All right, sorry. Back to the generator.
Well, I was just thinking about. Well, I was watching the ice storms out west and everything, and I was just thinking, you know, when the electricity goes out. I mean, if my Xfinity goes out for a while, I want to commit suicide. If I can't get my shows, and I just wanted to have more control over my life. And,
Right.
And then the heater, I just need heat, and just feeling like I needed to have some control over that. But I wanted to see what the deal was, because, you know, I want to be able to run the refrigerator and a little heater and just be all right. But I also was, to be honest with you, I was thinking about buying one for all my boys to see if I could get a good deal on 4. I'll throw in one for you too. They might give me one for free.
Second base down for that.
Everybody, look under your seats out there. Everybody watching. You got a generator. You got a generator. You got a generator. Welcome to Jabber John.
15th caller, you get a free generator.
Who was that?
15th caller gets a generator.
Ellen DeGeneres.
We only have 5 people watching, but they each call 3 times.
So yeah, that's all that was.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a news story you saw or something, or you're like, I better get ready. But it's just ice storms.
No, yeah, it was just the ice storm.
Because, you know, what you got going on there?
Because people text me sometimes when they're watching.
They got anything they want us to talk about?
Ask Nathan if we can quote his Karn show.
Quote his what? He can't even finish it.
That I would think you were about due for a song.
No, I don't know. Well, just to continue with that thread for just a second, though, and I probably shouldn't even say this publicly out loud, but I think it's sort of a fascinating aspect of things or whatever, is that we're sort of preppers. Like, do you guys have your radiation tablets for the chance of nuclear war?
No.
Yeah, we do.
What's your radiation tablet?
That's
black coffee.
Those are special tablets you're supposed to, you know, when we hear that there might be a nuclear war, we bought the duct tape and the plastic and the radiation. That's just how we roll. I'm a little bit of a prepper.
Oh, I thought you were saying we're preppers, but you two are preppers.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, well, I think you're being very optimistic in terms of nuclear war.
What, that our radiation tablets will help?
Yeah, they're tablets.
Hey,
No, you're
we'll
kidding,
be
right?
fine. We will be fine. Why are they still crushing? Oh, well, they bought the tablets. See?
Oh, God.
Gosh, he's gonna buy you a generator. You couldn't even chip in and get me and him a radiation tablet.
I know. I do feel bad. I do feel bad.
Did you get him at the farmer's market last week? Where did you get him from?
Yeah, they had a really good deal on them. And I couldn't believe they would let them go that easily.
But you know, on the you know, there's so many ways of looking at that topic. The prepping mentality. I feel like, you know, you can definitely get carried away and go overboard. It's there, you know, there's lots of things I like about it. I love gadgets. I just have always loved little gadgets. There's a James Bond aspect of it. Of it's like one of the reasons I love camping so much is all the little ways to cook things, ways to carry water, or whatever. They sort of go hand in hand. It's almost the same ballpark, or whatever. But on the other hand, I feel like preparedness for you were wanting to be ready if the ice storm came or whatever, and then you learn about generators, and you get if you went that route and got it all set up, you'd be like, all right, well, even if the ice storm doesn't come, that was sort of fun, and it's a nice feeling knowing that I have that security if and I just think in these times, with World War III being sort of on the brink, with climate change being talked about so much, I'm not sure that talking about preparedness has to be a loony conversation or whatever.
No, I agree. I won't argue with that. I think that's well thought out. There's a little bit of difference between an ice storm and a nuclear holocaust. We won't go there.
That's like second base at a home run.
Well,
Excellent, exactly. Or maybe an intentional walk and a home run.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now,
but if you
but
know,
I see it.
No, is there a place? I don't really. I haven't really gotten that worried about it. But are there reliable places to go to say what you should do?
I mean, just Googling
Like, what should I have? Canned goods, or is it more than that?
for just any scenario of societal collapse.
Well, I guess canned goods would be good for an ice storm or a nuclear war.
All the above. It's all good for all the things.
Now,
No matter what happens.
What are they like? If they bombed D.C., would we be affected by that?
We have the expert over there that's done that research, so she doesn't have a mic on.
I never remember long enough.
Right.
I knew that for like 20 minutes after I read
Oh,
it.
okay.
And then we've got the duct tape, the plastic, and the radiation tablets, and then forgot all the stuff we learned. we just made a little list, got the stuff. But yeah, I mean, we would survive. We would definitely be affected by the radiation, but
Right.
we wouldn't
Yeah.
be blown up by
We
the
probably
DC
wouldn't
blast.
get cancer for about 5 years. We were lucky.
We do live in a rough place to a certain. I mean, in some ways, we're completely blessed for all kinds of, like for so many disasters we're spared.
Right.
But nuclear war, we're a little perilous because of Norfolk and D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Norfolk is a huge military operation.
Yeah.
It's hard to even fathom how big that is. But it's not just a little.
Well, you got the
thing.
Pentagon, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, D.C. would be one of the first places they'd hit. And we would get fallout, to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, it depends on how many megatons they want to use.
Mm-hmm.
God. So it's been what, 55?
But then you can survive it too. Like
70. How many years has it been since they dropped the nuclear bombs? 40. What was that? 48.
40, 45.
45. So it's been
Hiroshima.
78 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, they've been doing testing since then, too. That book I gave you with the 100th monkey talks about it, but that was
you might remember this from a previous episode of Jabber John when I talked about the 100th monkey. This is the original that entered it into the collective consciousness. And apparently this does sort of talk about it as if it's an actual thing. Whereas my point is that
Well, why don't you read that and tell us about it for next week?
I'm on it.
I think you can.
I don't know.
I think I can manage
So
that
So
one.
this is a book about nuclear war.
It is about, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I didn't either till I picked it back up.
Is it a
That's-
novel or it's a
No,
a
it's
study?
an essay by
About
a
what happened.
scientist. And I had it in my classroom for years and years. And, you know, had a little library there, and
Right.
kids would take it out.
Hmm.
This is pretty. I read it the other night.
It seems like one of the ironies of the whole anti-nuke movement is that now nuclear energy might be our salvation, but we have to reprogram our consciousness to get back there again. It's like
Yeah, that came about when they figured out how to use it. But it, it's still in the hearts of man. You can make a tool out of it, or you can make a weapon out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have some of the people in the world like we have, some of those policemen aren't being nice, and
Right.
some of them are the best people in the world. But if you get one of the bad ones with a button,
Mm-hmm.
it can ruin it for everybody.
It's funny.
Literally.
When I told you my uncle was here, I asked because he does a lot with nuclear stuff, and I asked him what is the general overall perception of nuclear like power and stuff, and he said almost 100% the public is against it because they hear the dangers. But people that know what they're doing realize the absolute beauty and power of it. But one mistake can wipe out all the benefits. And he said
Right.
they just don't know the thing that's holding it back. So they don't know what to do with with what's
waste.
left. Yeah, like
The
it
waste
lasts
is-
forever. You know,
Waste
like,
is going to always be a problem.
yeah. But he said if it's used right, doesn't leak and all that stuff, it's just amazing. No, done damage.
Seems fascinating politically because the people that are most concerned about climate change are also the people that are most against nuclear energy.
Right.
When nuclear energy might be the answer
Well, that's what
to the climate change dilemma.
Yeah, he was coming at because he works for climate change, and he says it's like the only power source that does not damage, the atmosphere
Right.
and all that stuff.
So
Unless
it's,
it melts
it's an
down,
interesting
then,
political conundrum because the people most concerned with the question are the ones most afraid of the answer, potentially. And I don't know how that conversation even gets discussed.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
But this is part of the reason why. I mean, we spent 40 years demonizing, it's almost a trigger warning to think about building a nuclear power plant because it's been so demonized for understandable reasons, but for decades and decades.
The amount of nuclear waste we already have from nuclear testing hidden in the ground out west is just unbelievable.
Right.
You wouldn't believe it.
Now, did either one of y'all have any idea how many nuclear power plants are in the United States?
Great question.
I have no idea.
Where does Stanton get our electricity?
It's a good question.
Electric eels down at the wharf area.
You wouldn't believe it if I told you.
Electric eels.
They catch them in nets out there by the dam and bring them in here.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple power plants. We have North Anna.
What is that? Is it coal?
That's a nuclear plant.
Oh, it is?
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Close to here?
Not that close, but electricity will go. I mean, I don't think that's where we're getting the most of it, but I don't know. It's a good question.
Well, what do you think about wind turbines? Bad idea or not?
What's that?
How about the big wind turbines? Is that just
I don't see
Never
them
gonna
being
have-
an answer,
Yeah.
any big answer. Short term, if you had an island or something, it'd be all right. But
how about solar power? That seems to be catching on.
well, I mean that can help. I don't know if that can do the whole thing, but
Right.
that's a big deal. We'd like to think that. Obviously, we'd like to think that.
Right.
There's going to be some super exciting innovations in all those technologies in the near future, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's.
But the waste is so crazy. I mean, the biggest problem with the renewable energy stuff is the batteries, because you got to have batteries, and
Right.
those batteries are almost as disgusting as everything else.
The batteries have, they need certain metals. There's a limited supply of those in the world.
And they don't live forever. And then what you do with the dead batteries isn't a happy day scenario.
So that is an issue.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like if you're going down the interstate and you pull off at a big rest stop or something with gas stations, you can get gas and on the road in 5 minutes. If everybody has to stop for an hour to charge up their car, that's going to be a slow process.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to run in, get some peanuts and a drink, and go to the bathroom and get back on the road, not like just sit there.
Maybe we'll become a more conversing, cribbage playing culture again.
Plug the car in, let's go over to the cribbage room. Like, okay.
Oh, that's an interesting observation. What was your name again? That'll be us.
Tell me the whole story. We got all day.
That's right. Start from the beginning.
I'm 19th in line, so I got 19 hours. Go ahead. Where'd you meet your wife? At the cribbage room. We talked for 19 hours.
Tech support, you just use Percy in Discord to tell us that Percy says, yes, there are 2 commercial nuclear power plants in Virginia. They are the North Anna Power Station in Louisa County and the Surrey Power Station in Surrey County.
Wow. So if each state has, let's say, an average of 2, that's what, like 100 and, or is
Probably more than that.
See, I didn't even know that.
I didn't know
That's
that
just
either.
so fascinating.
Yeah.
You think of, I bet there's way more nuclear power plants than any of us would imagine that there are.
Do you have any idea how old those power plants are?
Well, they can't be, but so old, But they were probably built in a lot of them in the 70s. I would think.
98.
98.
Wow.
98. Wow, that hadn't been.
Oh,
January
no, not we were talking about the year they were built, and he said the 70s, and you said 98, but the 98 in here is the total number of power plants, nuclear.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Right.
There are 98.
Oh,
God, I ratcheted it out to 100. Boy, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, you nailed that.
I must be a genius.
I think you are.
And Dad was right. The 2 nuclear power plants in Virginia were built in the 70s, went online in the late 70s and early 80s. How about that?
That was a guess.
So
And
98.
tech support says, added, welcome to OK Percy It.
So for the whole United States, 98 is not a big number. That's pretty small for the amount of power plants.
Mm-hmm. Ask him if he knows what percentage of the power they provide.
It's not much.
Took a blip.
Let's guess. I'd say 9.
You think the
9%.
is the majority of what would you say is the majority of electric in America? Coal still produced by what?
Not coal.
Not coal, natural
Oil.
gas, oil.
I'd say oil. Yeah.
32% of the net electricity generation in Virginia was nuclear.
Wow.
Really?
32%.
Wow. I didn't know. That's a lot. That's high.
20% of the total produced in the United States is nuclear.
20. I said 9.
I would imagine that's a hard sell, though, if they come to your neck of the woods and say, we're going to build a power plant.
A nuclear power
I
plant.
doubt people are
I
like,
bet they wouldn't build one now.
yeah.
I wonder. I'm from starting from scratch right now. I don't think they do one now.
You don't? Or because not in
Just-
my backyard, no one would allow it?
Partly and just too expensive, and the precautions you have to take, and and you still have to dig at uranium or whatever the fuel is. You still have to. There's a price on that. That's not free.
Can you explain anything about that and like to me like I'm in 5th grade or whatever about what makes uranium unique to be able to produce, like what's going on? What is
uranium,
going on?
what you get is a nucleus of an atom can have a imbalance in terms of its neutrons and protons. So if you get like carbon-14, that's normal carbon that's in our bodies is carbon-12, but every once in a while you get one that has a carbon-14, which means that in a carbon-12 you have 6 protons and 6 neutrons.
Stable.
And it's stable as hell. But if you get 6 protons and 8 neutrons, those neutrons, that's too heavy. It's it just is unstable when it revolves around. So it'll emit a neutron. It'll actually, the neutron will break up into an electron and leaves behind a proton. So the electron shoots out, and that's called a beta particle, and that's radiation. And what's left behind is a proton. So now that carbon's no longer carbon, it has become a normal nitrogen, N7.
N7.
Yeah, because, you know.
What causes it to break up? Is it just going to break apart no matter what?
It's going to break apart eventually. That's where half-life comes in. It's like the odds of it breaking. And you don't break them, they break themselves. They just build up, and nobody knows what causes them, but they do it on their own, and they do it at a certain rate. So
and that's decay or
that's
entropy?
Called nuclear decay. So every time you decay, every time he decays, the uranium turns into plutonium, and so it keeps on breaking down. But every time it breaks down, it turns into a new element, which is usually also radioactive, and so it keeps on shooting out particles.
Oh, wow.
And those particles have energy, and that's the energy you're getting. Did that help?
A little bit.
So it never gets to be a stable thing. It just gets.
Eventually, it'll break down until it gets to be stable, like the nitrogen when it turns into 14 with a nitrogen, but it has a proton instead of a neutron. So now it's a nitrogen atom, and it's stable, and it won't go anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
So when this uranium is formed in the underground, you have those are constantly breaking down, whether they're in a new reactor or not. So
Is it and it's producing radiation?
Yep.
Like uranium in its raw thing is like a poison?
Right. Just in the news yesterday, they had a canister in Australia. Did you see that?
No.
They were driving somewhere. They lost a canister of radioactive material. It fell off a truck on a road in Australia, and they had to send out people. They found this little canister, but it was sitting there by the road emitting radiation.
Weird.
And if you lived in that area, you could be contaminated and, get cancer or something from that canister.
So when they do a nuclear bomb, like it splits an atom, right? Just an something smaller that you can't even see.
It'll split a whole bunch of atoms.
Oh, not just one.
Not just one. In other words, you get a chain reaction. One gives off so much energy, it'll split another one. So that's where you get a nuclear chain reaction, and that's where you get the bomb. If you concentrate a whole bunch of them into one thing, and then you ignite it with whatever you do.
What happens if you split the atom of a stable thing?
Well, that takes energy to do, and you're just going to break it into 2 little pieces. But it's not necessarily going to emit radiation on its own, at least. But when you have a nuclear thing like Chernobyl and those things, there's things in the air floating around that are going to be emitting radiation. Those particles are getting up in the air, and they just don't go away. They're going to be there for literally hundreds of thousands of years. So you're going to ruin the planet. You ain't just killing, like burning down a house.
Right.
You're destroying the planet for life. Or you're going to get some really weird looking organisms.
Right. We know all about those from our video games.
Okay.
Now, when they were inventing,
Infected.
Say hi to all my switchers.
Twitch.
All my twitchers.
Now,
Hey, Pete, welcome to the show.
So what do you think what do you think the moral decision was to even proceed with making something like that? That you knew that.
Well, they didn't know how strong it was. You know, they did all that experimentation, and there's not one of those guys that worked on that don't say they regret doing it.
Oh, right.
But their decision was based on the idea: do we stop this war, or do we keep on killing each other conventionally? And they decided that they wanted to stop it right then.
Wow.
But they didn't realize, I don't think, they opened a can of worms they didn't really understand either.
Right.
I mean, they were learning.
I mean, they definitely, from the very first test, you know, Oppenheimer's famous quote of "I have become death, the destroyer of worlds." So they knew from the first successful test that like this is
Scary.
crazy God level destruction
Yeah,
that
exactly.
But
they'd unleashed.
like, didn't they have like out in the desert, people would be sitting there just watching it? Like they would have like, you know, the thing was like 50 miles away. You were sitting there watching the cloud, not even realizing the stuff was just.
There's a story in that
wafting you
book
over
there
you.
that you'll read tonight. Was that in 1954, I think, John Wayne and several people made a movie right out there.
No,
And
they were just
and all
with it.
all of them within 20 years, 30 years had died of cancer.
Oh my God.
And yeah, you don't know. That's could be. They didn't. Maybe it wasn't caused by that, but that's the thing we're talking about is that everybody they didn't realize.
Right.
I mean, they're out there making a movie 4 years after they set off a nuclear reactor there. So, crazy.
That is crazy.
But you know, we should probably stop talking about nuclear holocaust.
Well, you know, I
I'm
mean,
not sure it's good for the ratings.
It's probably not good for the
I
ratings.
bet we're down to 3.
And we don't have to talk about it again, but we might as well be a little thorough with it while we're talking about it, because I mean, you know, it is a fact that the two biggest nuclear powers in the world at the moment are saber rattling, and there's a war in Ukraine going on, and there's been a lot of. You got this scientist that you talked to your uncle about. His uncle, is it your uncle? Mm-hmm. Apparently, after we talked about the doomsday clock last week, he how do you tell that story?
Well, he's very involved in global warming. He's been involved in it since like when I was a little kid. He was talking about global warming before we ever knew what it was. But the whole thing tied in. He was involved with nuclear stuff because, like we're talking about, it really doesn't damage the atmosphere that much. So he had, he's always been interested in that. But he lived in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where a lot of that stuff was done. So he, at various times, has met a bunch of those guys that worked on the bomb. Oh, not the bomb, but the doomsday clock.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're legitimate scientists. It's not just like the doomsday
really
clock
smart.
brought to you by the National Enquirer or Fox News or something
these
like
are
that.
very
And 2 weeks.
geniuses probably.
So nuclear actually is interestingly coming from both sides of all those kinds of things. On one hand, it's like this terrible threat that could be the result of a World War III or a conflict between the United States and Russia or China. On the other hand, it might be the solution to the climate change conversations.
Right.
And we were talking about last week how these scientists, whoever are in charge of it, move the doomsday clock, the hand closest to midnight that it's ever been, which apparently is our annihilation. And to me, it's just fascinating that these concepts are hanging over our heads on a daily basis to a certain extent, but we don't know. It's really hard to talk about them. Talk about these things. It's hard to talk about climate change. It's hard to talk about
the only reason you're talking about it is you got the pills.
Oh, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty secure. I got the duct tape. I got the plastic. I got the pills. Let's talk about this.
but something else he mentioned. We talk about the moral, the unleashed power you have. He said one of the suggestions that has been made is to shoot the waste out into space.
That's the first thing I thought when you
But
said
then,
that.
but then he says how do you know you're not killing,
Some
like
innocent,
things you
sweet,
don't even know about.
harmonious
Yeah.
planet out
Yeah.
there. Like, oh, that's just
So
a
he
terrible
said you're
thought.
saving your own planet, but then we don't know enough about.
Couldn't we send it into the sun?
Well, yeah, if you want to put out the sun.
I know
Would
that
it put out the sun?
No.
It wouldn't, would it?
No, I'm just.
it would probably create a huge explosion if you threw nuclear
But the
stuff
sun
into
can
the
handle it, couldn't it?
Oh, I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
You don't know. How much?
I don't know. I'm
have
asking
you
you. I'm
studied-
asking.
Global warming, though, God, the sun would heat up to like 10 times its normal thing. We'd be all
What if it's
fried.
like feeding a Tic Tac to a whale? Maybe it's just it would be that there's nothing we could send at the sun. that
And maybe
wouldn't
it
be
would
able to-
just blow us right back to us. Solar wind.
Percy, somebody asked Percy. Hey, April.
You know your name, don't you?
Oh, by the way, we're overtime. Welcome to Jabber John overtime. We've done good, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to try to talk about it is because I think about that a lot of how, a lot of these conversations you would think like the adults would be talking in hushed tones, the kids wouldn't, but we don't even the adults don't really know how to talk about any of this stuff, and as a talk show or whatever. Thought maybe we could lead by example or something like this.
Well, one thing, like you and me are too young to remember, but my mom was talking about the scaredness when you have to get under your desk. And she
Yeah.
said she had no idea what you were even doing, which is like this fear that something's going to come out of the sky.
Oh yeah,
And fry you to a
that was
crisp.
very real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was not the least bit constructive either. All it did was
Right.
scare you,
Right.
as it turns out. But,
I've been watching Mad Men, and right now it's taking place during the Bay of Pigs time, and that I was for a while there it was on every radio. It's all anybody talked about, like the but that was way close to home, definitely way closer than Ukraine is. But I
well, yeah, and everything's different now too, because I hate to tell you, but they've advanced the technology where North Korea can lay one on us. Used to be limited to a certain geographic area, but anybody that wants to can destroy the world now if you have nuclear weapons.
right.
And the United States has more nuclear weapons than they know what to do with. So, and then we have some bad actors out there too. So, ooh. All right, I'm ready to call tonight.
Yeah, that
I
was a
know
good
we've
one.
uplifted everybody.
I'm ready to push this red button and see
Well,
what it does.
that's not necessarily. I will not bring up that kind of stuff again necessarily unless someone else wants to talk about it. But I'm glad we tried to talk about it because I feel like climate change alone is we were talking about this the other night. I was like, the reason we don't talk about it is because it's just so sad and heavy or whatever, and
too big. It's too
big to grasp.
It's too big to put any handle on to grab anything there because there's so much you can't control.
Right.
I have scientific problems with climate change, but let's save that for another night.
Right. I love it. Well, tune in next week.
We don't get a song?
Oh yeah, we gotta have a leaving song.
Leaving song. Oh God.
You got one about nuclear war?
They're all about that. You gotta read between the lines.
Yeah, what are you gonna pick? You pick one that's appropriate for our discussion.
I'm the first channel.
You got one about shooting nuclear waste into the sun?
I wanna play like Jelly Roll Morton, write like Waldo Emerson, sing like Odetta, say, give me liberty like Patrick Henry. I wanna escape like Houdini on the very last breath. I want to fly straight as an arrow, crooked sparrow. I want to swallow fire, I want to paint the town red. I want to understand under, and hold the whole world up over my head. Woo! I want to die in battle, roll with the wife, catch every kind of fish. Lord, I'd give anything if I could play the fiddle. I want to know the recipe for every day. I want to bust some moves on the dance floor. I want to sit in the back of a smoky-ass debaucherous den. I want to live to be 120, tell wondrous tales to my great-great-great-grandchildren. Woo! I want to be a stand-up comedian. I want to start a new twist in philosophy. I want to be a cowboy and an Indian. I want to be an E.E. Cummings apostrophe. I want to be fluent in every language. I want to be a painter, the next Abby Hoffman. I want to be the mayor of my hometown in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I got to get there more often. I want to take the plunge to the depths of madness. I want to sit in the clear like a Buddhist monk. I want to turn the tables like Jesus. I want to cross all borders in a smuggler's trunk. I want to write code like a rogue programmer. I want to sell potions on the side of the street. I want to survive some grisly summer, learning which berries are safe to eat. Everybody, woo! And I want to do tricks in a biplane smoking, and be able to fix anything that gets broken. I want to hang on when the questions are spoken. I want to let go when the wind is blowing. I want a light bulb to go off in my head like Edison. Want to get my brain around what Einstein said. I want to understand under, and hold the whole world up over my head. That's all. I just want to understand under, hold the whole world up over my head. One more. I just want to understand under, hold the whole world.
Oh, that is
Damn.
so perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So perfect.
Thank you all. Good night. See you next
Yeah.
time.
God,
Cut.
perfect.
That's a keeper.
Tied in perfect. What
That's
a
a
beautiful
wrap.
song.
That was great. That was such a great ending.